Thank you, Brianna. Hello, I'm Gail Schickele. Welcome to Solo Arts Heal. We celebrate the healing power of the arts through performance and talkbacks that offer resources for our audiences live here on the Marsh stream and on the Marsh YouTube channel available worldwide. Tonight, we feature and welcome back Native American Leland Faulkner, performing excerpts from his stage show that celebrates Indigenous peoples' knowledge, visions, wisdom, and relationship with the natural world, brought to life using the tools of theater, mime, spoken word, and magic in original performance. The performance pieces that we'll see tonight are from Leland's full show, Walker Between Worlds, that birthed with the pandemic and would be developed to share Indigenous people's perspective, and will be followed in conversation about how the show was developed, issues facing a vulnerable community, and more, as together we embrace the healing power of the arts. Leland Faulkner is an actor, mime, and magician who also makes films, writes, and directs. He was born in Afghanistan to American Indian parents and has traveled widely in Asia and Europe, and has been touring for 30 years, crediting his global experiences with stimulating his love for theater as he continues to create many award-winning film and media projects. Prepare to go down the rabbit hole of dreams and imagination with magical adventures and wonder tales from the first people. Please join me now in welcoming with performance excerpt from his solo show, Walker Between Worlds, Leland Faulkner. And we'll see you in about 25 minutes.
Glowing stars above lighting his face. Across the skies where the spirits play. Little rabbit, weaving dreams all day. Velvet night, whispering winds, guiding paths where his dance begins. Weaving patterns in the midnight blue. Little rabbit, he's dancing his dreams. Little rabbit is sharing visions. Little rabbit's making magic. Little rabbit makes strong medicine. Little rabbit's dream catcher snaring so many dreams. Little rabbit keeps dancing, dreaming this world to life. The shadows talk. He dreams the northern lights. Little rabbit dreams in a special way. Beneath the moon, the rhythms sway. Echoing beats weaving through the day. Little rabbit's trance, where souls unite. Little rabbit's dream catcher, catching dreams and light, in sync with stars above.
Bonjour. Anin. Indinowe Magindok. Bonjour. Our hello. It means, are you our folk hero, Nana Baju? We greet each other saying, Bonjour. Anin. It means, I see your light. Indinowe, Magindok. All my relations, not just my mother and father, brother, sister, uncle, aunt. No. All my relations, all the people, everywhere, all the animals, the earth, the grass, the trees, the rivers, all of it. It's all part of this great web of life. We are all connected. We are one. We forget. We think we're separate. We here live in this place called Turtle Island. Why is it called Turtle Island? Oh, well, it's called Turtle Island because there was a great flood. A great flood. And Nana Bajou, our great folk hero, was washed in the water, rushed in the water. He held onto a log. He gathered all the other animals around him. And he told them, if one of us could go down to the bottom and bring back some earth, I could make a place for us. And they tried, and they tried, and they failed. Until the tiniest of them all, the muskrat, dove down, and was gone longer than any of the other animals. He was gone so long that they believed he was lost. When suddenly his body popped to the surface. They pulled him to the log, and there, in his hand, was a little earth. Nana Bajou took it. Turtle offered his back, and Nana Bajou placed it on the back of Turtle and made this place that we call Turtle Island. Look on the map. You'll see all of North America, Canada, Alaska, the United States, Mexico, all of it together. And you'll see it's in the shape of a great turtle. On the shores of Gitchigumi, where my people live, what you call Lake Superior, the turtle buries itself in the mud, preparing for winter. Oh. In the spring, when it rises up, sometimes on its back, there's a little earth. And sometimes, growing out of that earth is a small tree, reminding us of where we come from, reminding us of our connection with the earth. And in Uwemagindo, we are all one family, all my relations. We are connected.
Our world is carried on turtles' back.
We have lost our connection with the earth. My people weren't afraid of nature the way some people are now. They see a spider and they go, oh! No. We welcome Grandmother Spider. We call her Nukomas Asabakeshi, Grandmother Spider. And Grandmother Spider, she has lived high in the lodge and watched over the children who she loves since the beginning. And so it disturbed her. You see, my people lived in a great lodge all together. Grandmother Spider watched from high in the lodge, and the children started having strange, frightening dreams. One child would talk to another about their dreams, and the dreams began to spread among them like a pandemic, like a plague. Oh, one child, a boy, he was dreaming. He dreamt of Makwa, the angry bear. Makwa! Makwa! Another child, a girl. She was dreaming. Ginnebig! 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 She had dreamt of the snake. Another child, a boy who thought he was brave, dreamt that he had entered the forest when he came across a wendigo who was eating who knows what. The boy, the wendigo, heard the boy, smelt the boy, and began to track the boy, to hunt the boy. The wendigo followed his tracks. The boy ran, but the wendigo was a mighty hunter. The boy ran faster, but the wendigo, he too was fast and big and strong and caught the boy. Wendigo! 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 Oh. The dreams were getting worse. The parents, they grew very concerned. The dreams, the nightmares, what are we going to do? Perhaps we should seek the Mashkiki Winani. Yes, the medicine man. He's wise. He'll know what to do. I'll bring a gift. And they brought a gift. And the medicine man listened to their troubles. Yes. Yes, I can help you. But to do this thing, I must enter the dream world. I will prepare. And as he prepared, from high in the lodge descended Nokomis Asabekeshi, and she held tight to his shoulder.
Nightmares and dreams, from shades and shadows come, moonlight and dreams, firelight and dreams. Nightmares and dreams, from shades and shadows come, dark dreaming children, frightened children, medicine children, guided by stars, sparkle lining up, through the silent woods we follow. Dream worlds open horizons, journey through the web of shine. Visions align and grandmother spider's design. Come, shades and shadows, come, eight-legged ones, six-legged ones, four-legged ones, snow-legged ones, light-winged ones. Come, shades and shadows, come, eight-legged ones, six-legged ones, four-legged ones, snow-legged ones, light-winged ones. Shades and shadows, come, eight-legged ones, six-legged ones, four-legged ones, snow-legged ones, light-winged ones. Come, shades and shadows, come, eight-legged ones, six-legged ones, four-legged ones, snow-legged ones, light-winged ones.
Everything began to change.
Rise from the earth.
There was a great and powerful wind. Suddenly the earth shook. It began to rain. Then, out of the east, there rose a great light, and there was a rainbow of color in every place. It was the elements: air, earth, water, fire. Air was the first to speak. Mashkiki, Winini, I have brought the words of the people on the wind to all the other elements. And we agree. We love the children. We wish to help. Come, let us counsel together and find a way. And so they counseled together. But the first to speak was air. I have the power. I can carry the dreams and nightmares on the wind. Earth spoke. I can hold the dreams in my hoop. Water spoke. I can wash the dreams, separate the good dreams from the bad. Fire spoke. I can burn the dreams in the light of the morning sun. The Mashkiki Winini spoke. But how? How will we catch the dreams? Oh. Let us counsel together. We will find a way. And so they counseled together. They counseled together. They counseled together, but they could not find a way. When suddenly they heard, shh, a tiny voice. It was Nokomis Asabikeshi. Beautiful elements, let me help you as you help me every day. I have the power to weave a web that can stop the dreams that cause these nightmares. Show us, said the elements. And so Nokomis Asabikeshi began work on the very first dream catcher ever made. She took a willow hoop, she bent it, and tied it with her web. The Mashkiki Winini looked and listened closely. This is the web of life. We begin our journey as babies, crying out for help. We become children, young adults, men and women, and finally we reach old age, where we cry out once again for help. Into every life come dreams and visions. Some lead us down the wrong path. My web will stop those dreams that cause pain, suffering, and fear, and allow only the good dreams through. Here, Mashkiki Winini, take it, share it with the people. The Mashkiki Winini took it, and he took Grandmother Spider back with him through the dream world. The Mashkiki Winini showed the people how to make the sacred hoop, how to hang it above the sleeping children in a place that could be touched by the morning sun. If you are awake when the sun comes up, go outside and look around. Perhaps you'll see Nokomis Asabikeshi already hard at work building her lodge. And if you look close, you can see all the elements at work. Air, earth, water in the form of dew, fire in the form of the morning sun, burning up all those dark dreams captured there. And if you see Nokomis Asabikeshi, don't harm her. Thank her. For now, we can all have beautiful dreams
Firelight and dreams,
and wonderful
nightmares and dreams.
visions.
From shades and shadows come, Moonlight and dreams,
Meg Witch.
firelight and dreams, nightmares and dreams.
Thank you.
From shades and shadows come.
We
Darkening children, frightened children, medicine
have just a
children.
minute or two, I think.
Guided by stars, walk the line
I have a little something to share, but I don't know if I should.
the silent ones we follow.
I have
Yes, share.
I have
World's open horizon, journey
A
through the
web.
webs of time.
of sorts. You see, people are afraid of spiders, but they don't really understand them. They think that a spider's web is weak, that it can be easily broken. They think that we're all just unto ourselves alone. But the web shows how we are connected. It is the web of life, as Nokomis Asipakashi has taught us. You know, a spider will never ever go out of its way to harm you. Only if you disturb it will it try to protect itself. And did you know a spider can fly? Oh, yes. They will put out a long, long web and allow it to be caught by the wind. And they can travel for miles. Oh, there's so much we don't understand. Science has shown us that a spider's web is actually stronger than a piece of steel. A piece of steel the same size as a single strand from the spider's web. The spider's web is 100 times stronger. My people would gather the spider's web. Stick it together to make what's called a poultice. A poultice used for healing, put on a wound. And science has shown us that a spider's web actually contains a vitamin called vitamin K that clots the blood. And so, even though it may seem that we are all disconnected, the truth is, we are all connected. Oh, there's so much that we don't know. So much that we could learn from nature. But instead, we dig it up, we destroy it, we do so much damage to our mother. If only we could remember that we are truly all connected. Thank you. Thank you for having me tonight. It's an honor to be here as part of Solo Arts Heal. When Gail Schickele invited me to be part of this, I had to dig deep into my own heritage and background. And I'm so thankful that I was asked, both by her and by the Marsh Theater, to create something based on my heritage. As time has progressed since the pandemic, it's become more and more important to me, and more important to who I am and how I define my identity and how I learn from my parents, from my past, and from the people, the ancestors that came before me, and of course, those that will be coming after. I'd like to take a moment to thank the Ohlone, the cousins out there in California, on whose land all of you are walking on. And here, where I live now in Maine, the Abenaki people, the Micmac, and the Maliseet. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, Gail.
Well, and in conversation with you, Leland, thank you. Your performance, your costumes are beautiful. The magic you do is wonderful, and it's all magic. Your puppet shadows and the grandmother, it brings these tales and legends to life with unforgettable characters like the magical web weaving grandmother spider and other creative tales and lessons from the first Americans, the first peoples. It's a legacy and true gift to future generations.
Thank you. And, we don't call this a costume. We call it regalia, because when you put on something like this, what you're doing is you're representing the people. And that has been a very difficult thing for me to do in the past. It's one reason I hadn't done a program based on my heritage, because of the cultural weight of it all. But during the pandemic, something shifted in me. Maybe it was my age, my experience, the difficulties I've had in my life, and suddenly I felt connected to it for the first time. So really, Gail, thank you for starting that spark.
Oh, I'm honored to hear that, and it's all from you. And I'm very happy I was in what small part of it, and I'm grateful to have you here so we can talk about these issues. I want to take one quick break because there's much more to come to talk about. But I want to take a moment to remind the audience that posted in the chat is the link to the tip jar, and that your tax-deductible support is indeed needed to, and much appreciated, to keep the Marsh Stream platform open to our communities. Also, we encourage comments and questions from the audience, and our producer, Brianna Caver, will help keep an eye on that, whether you're joining us on Zoom or YouTube. So don't hold back. The chat is open now. Leland, you've performed throughout the United States and have taught and performed at schools, colleges, universities, theater festivals, international circuses, cultural exchange programs, plus corporate sponsors, right? And commercial work,
Yes.
television, and
Yes.
major theaters. You've been on the Today Show and also consulted on the major motion picture, The Polar Express.
Yeah, that was so interesting. I graduated from film school, and I worked for several years in film and television in Santa Barbara. But then when I moved to Maine, because I wanted to have an extended family for my daughter, she was very little at the time, and I wanted her to have the experience of grandmother and grandfather. So we moved to Maine. And once I left that hub of film production, that's when that offer came through. Isn't that ironic? To consult with Robert Zemeckis and his animation team, and they wanted to. They asked me to create some shadow play for them, and that they could use as inspiration for the animation team. And I was so honored to be part of that. And that film has actually stood the test of time, so I'm happy about that too.
Oh, it really has. It's wonderful, and it's just thrilling to know that you were a part of that. Yeah. You also began with an acknowledgement of Ohlone peoples in the San Francisco Bay
Yes.
Area. And I was looking at an AI overview of that because the West Berkeley Shell Mound is a culturally significant
yeah.
site for the Lisjan people
Hmm.
that have been the subject of, a years-long legal battle. So it's a ceremonial site and fishing village that's about 5,000 years old, and it holds knowledge about how the Ohlone people lived in the area. And there's been a lot of progress there with land transfer from the city of Berkeley and community support and state law in 2020 to protect the sacred sites, signed by Governor Gavin Newsom. So it's still kind of in going to be added, I think, to the list of historic places. And it's been a wonderful thing to witness, to see the rejuvenation and the honoring of sites
Right.
that were once all Native peoples.
Yeah, from what I understand, when the first settlers came, the Spanish and all that, uh, things shifted for the Ohlone people. Before that time, they were hunter-gatherers and they lived very close to the earth, and hunting and gathering was what they did. But with the introduction of things like sheep and pigs and cows, the natural wildlife was dissipated, and so they were
Mm.
forced to become then farmers and that sort of thing in order to survive. And that's sort of been the history of Native America all over the country, is that in order to survive, they've had to do things. They've been put on reservations, and reservations which were originally prisons now have become sort of a refuge for many Native Americans. The whole ethic of survival has become part of the culture of Native America. Some of the most common things, like if you go to a powwow and you get a snack, you might get some fry bread. Fry bread came because it was nothing more than flour that was given as a stipend to the tribes so they could survive the harsh weather. And so they were given this food supply, and they had to do something with it. And so they mixed it with some grease and maybe whatever they had, maybe some honey or something like that, or some syrup, and made fry bread. They just simply cooked it up like that. And as simple as that was, they were able to survive. Now it's become sort of a staple, and it's become celebrated. It's an interesting thing that in spite of all the hardships, that Native Americans have such resilience, they can turn things that are hard scrabble into respected parts of their culture, which is phenomenal to me.
That is phenomenal. That's really great news. And I know that I mean, we've talked about vulnerable communities. There's still more to talk about, but I was just reading that as of 2022, there were 574 federally recognized Native groups in the United States, including 220 for Alaska Natives alone. And it's interesting, Alaska Natives are referred to as Alaska Natives versus others.
Yeah.
And and the tribes have their own governments.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk about the Bureau of Indian Affairs
Mm.
also, because I think that was even started really as early on groups were started. It was really to contain Indigenous peoples,
To
to teach
contain them.
them English, to, some of the terrible things
Yeah, it was an extension of military action, and
military. It was under the Department of War originally, and then it
yeah.
got switched to the Department of Interior eventually, where things could happen in a positive way. And I really want to mention that the Department of Interior,
Mm.
the first Native American, was elected to the cabinet and
Deb
the
Haaland.
Interior in
Uh,
2022, was it?
yes, I believe so. Yeah,
2021, very
and
recently.
and she's done a lot to bring awareness and attention to the Native American situation. But
Mhm.
even today, there's like a lot of ignoring of Native American issues, and it's probably going to get worse in the future. The Ohlone, for example, where you are, they're not a federally recognized tribe. In Pennsylvania, where my daughter lives, the Lenape are not a federally recognized tribe,
Oh,
but they
really?
recognize that themselves. It doesn't make them less than who they are. Um,
Sure, sure.
but federal recognition has a lot of benefits to it. And I can see in the future how some of these benefits may be taken away or taken advantage of, which is sort of a perennial situation for Native American communities.
Mhm.
Their resources are just used, whether it was gold in North Dakota or oil or water or whatever it is. They're used and treated as though they're not the sovereign nation that the United States had agreed to treat them as. So
Right,
that's
right.
it's a
And I know
difficult
there's
thing.
talk of oil drilling out west, and the Navajo Nation is the biggest of all, with about I'm not sure how much land, but they have they have the greatest amount of land
Yeah.
that covers parts of Arizona and New
Mm.
Mexico and Utah, that goes into the millions of acres.
Yes, and
And
sadly, in
there's
these
talk about oil drilling out there.
Yeah, and sadly, in these regions of where all this development happens, it's also where the most murders happen of indigenous women and men. Um, it kind of goes hand in hand. So there's murdered and missing indigenous women is a pandemic in the country. It hasn't been addressed deeply enough, and it's still ongoing. And there are new victims, and there are old victims whose crimes have never been solved. And attention and focus really needs to be put on that by the current government. But we'll see.
We can only hope that there will be people that will really advocate for that, because we talked about this a few years ago when you performed for us, because the documentation then was there was 2,300 missing Native American women and girls in the U.S. in 2020. And that was according to the Urban Indian Health Institute, which is a division of the Seattle Indian Health Board. And underscoring the reasons behind the lack of awareness and scrutiny in these cases. You know, the violence perpetrated against the urban American Indian and Alaska Native women and girls is just appalling, and adds to this ongoing trauma that your peoples have experienced for generations.
Yeah. And it's carried there in our collective unconscious. It's there. We don't forget, we remember. And it stays with us. Yet, somehow, we still survive. Somehow.
Yeah.
And I think that we're an integral fabric of what it means to be American. We're the first Americans. It's our blood, our bodies, our ashes. They are the earth that we all walk on. And it should be treated with respect.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've seen, at least in a positive note in recent years, with movements that have come forward for, you know, from Me Too to Black Lives Matter, and certainly Indigenous peoples and other groups that are trans and LGBTQ and so on, that, you know, at least of late, we have had the humanity to embrace all these groups as, you know, people that deserve all the rights that we all have, and to be respected, and compassion needs to be given to everyone. That's something our country and the world needs to work on.
You know, Native American tribes around the country, they've always been welcoming of Two-Spirit people, of people of other races. In fact, they bring them into their community, because again, it's about survival. It's about how do you contribute to the community. And I have to say that my father spent his whole life in community development and worked overseas doing that, being the benevolent arm of our country. Creating co-ops for women, and creating roads and infrastructure, and showing them how to build infrastructure through their local, creating sometimes local government, you know, to get things done. And
now, he was working in Afghanistan, or
in Afghanistan first, and then which is where I happened to be born. You see, my mom and dad, they met at the Bureau of Indian Affairs, the very first Native American dating app. And they met there, and subsequently he left the Bureau of Indian Affairs to work in foreign service, because he felt that he could make an impact and do something that he couldn't do working for the BIA. And so for 30 years he did just that. We lived in Afghanistan, where I happened to be born. I think the only Native American ever born in Afghanistan. And after that, we moved to Iran, and for 7 years, we lived in Tanzania, East Africa. And we were only going to stay there for 2 years. But each time it was time to leave, they would beg my father to stay. That's how much they loved him, and how much of an impact he had. So I have great memories of growing up in Africa. And coming back to the States, of course, was a big deal every couple of years, going to the powwows and seeing the dancers and the fierce grass dancers and warriors doing the grand entry, and all of that was a really strong memory for me. And being out on the ranch, and my my memories are, I have so many of them, it's hard to explain how much they mean to me, but some of them were really magical. My aunt had a little cabin up on the Yellow Fork River, and there was a stream, and my father had taught me just to take a willow stick and some line and a hook and get a cricket and catch trout. And so I was out there doing that, catching trout, and all of a sudden I felt something on my back, and it was a fawn. A fawn had come up and was like pawing at me like this, and I was mind boggled, and then as I walked down the river, it would follow me wherever I went, and it just felt so magical. And I went back into the cabin and I said, I was out fishing and this fawn came up and was and I go, oh, she said, yeah, I saved the mother. My aunt told me. Said, I saved the mother. It had been hunted, and so I saved the fawn, and so it just hangs around here now.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. You were the family for the
It was
fawn.
amazing.
Wow,
Yeah.
how incredible. Well, good animals know other good animals.
Yes.
Wow, that's incredible. Um, and so tell us further about your full show, Walker Between Worlds, has other excerpts, the dream catcher, the mother grandmother spider. What are
Yeah.
some of the other things we can expect to see in your full show?
Well, I do Coyote in the Nighttime Sky. I've composed some original music for that, and Coyote in the Nighttime Sky
So you're a
is,
composer added to everything else.
well, I am now, thanks to my
Wonderful.
great uh, the A in AI. I've been using AI to bring my poetry to life, and you can create tunes, you can upload them, and it learns you, and it learns your poetry, and it learns what you like, and it's a cutting edge technology, and it's a creative technology if you deal with it right. You're not letting it do things for you. You're using it as an ally, as a support tool, just like having a hammer and a chisel. So I find that it's exciting to be able to make sound, to bring my poetry to life. I love that, and that actually it's like having a strange ally. That's the only way I can describe it, an ally, a sort of supernatural ally, because we would call it magic, you know. Any technology advanced enough is magic.
Yes.
And so for me, we would call it, it's a form of medicine. It's a power, right? So in order to wield that power, that medicine, in a way that makes the world a better place, makes it good medicine and healing medicine. And that's how I approach it. And it's been working for me because there's a strange thing about the technology. It responds in kind. So if you treat it as an ally, it'll treat you as an ally. If you treat it in a perfunctory way with no respect, that's what it will spit back at you.
It's learning from you.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm,
So it's an interesting thing. We'll see where it goes. I'm very
There's
excited.
something good there with AI. They can teach us to be more compassionate.
I think so. There are new tools on the horizon that I'm really hopeful about. My wife had a stroke, and in Germany they're doing research with AI to make what's called a digital twin, sort of digital simulacrum of a patient. They take all of their traits, all of their personality traits that they can get, the way they speak, the way they move, the way they think, the way they respond, and they put all this data, medical data, psychological data, into a digital twin, and they can do experimental treatments to see what is the most effective treatment to do on the real person without having to perpetrate it like a victim on an actual human
Wow,
being.
that's amazing. So they're actually making a robot, basically, an actual body?
Mm. Mm.
Wow.
Well, I don't think it's not an actual body, but it's a virtual body.
Yeah, a
Yeah,
virtual body, I see.
yeah,
Well, it's a lot more complicated than I
yeah.
can understand, but in a simple side, it sounds absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, it's there's a the medicine men of today are they have the power to make some real miracles happen that are going to make the world a better place. And making the world a better place is really what it's all about for me. And I hope it's what it's all about for everyone else. Native Americans, we believe, or at least I believe, and people in my tribe believe, that dreams are the source of almost everything. Everything begins as a dream, even
Mhm,
you.
mhm.
And this program we're on right now is a dream, right? This, the house that you're in right now, or wherever you're watching this from, began as a dream. And now
Mhm,
here you are sitting in it. It's real.
mhm, mhm,
We're the only creature on the planet that can dream things and make them real.
mhm.
And that's an amazing gift, an amazing medicine, an amazing power that we have. And we can squander it, we can waste it, or we can use it to make things better, to make things more complete, to make things whole. So,
When you do your shows, do you give talkbacks about things like this? This is so important. I see so much going on since the pandemic with a lot of healers and meditation people all over the world, Deepak Chopra and Eckhart Tolle and Jack Kornfield and et cetera, et cetera. And we need this so much at this
I think
time.
we
And
need
the
it.
Native American's perspective is like really important.
We need it. We've never lost the connection to the earth, you know. We've kept that alive. It's a big part of who we are, our identity. Uh,
Mhm,
it's a big part of our culture to respect where we came from, the generations that come before us,
mhm.
that come after us. Um, it's uh, it's something that most people don't have anymore, and I think that's why they're reaching out for it.
Mhm, mhm.
Uh,
And
we're not hunter-gatherers anymore, but it's part of our psyche. It's part of our collective unconscious. It is part of our memory, you know,
mhm,
as human beings. It's part of us,
mhm.
and who knows? Maybe one day we'll have to do that again. You never know.
I hope so. I'd like to bring up that I don't know if we talked about, you're with the Abenaki Nation, right? The Dawn people from Maine
Yes,
and
here.
Pittsburgh.
Yes, here
There's
in
about
Maine.
3,200 Abenaki living in Vermont and New Hampshire, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Usually around Lake Champlain.
And in the Micmac up in Aroostook County, there's a small band there, maybe I think less than 2,000. But if you go across the border, for us that's an artificial thing, this border,
Right.
right? If you go across the border, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of Micmac in Canada.
Oh, okay, okay. Good. And now, Little Rabbit, we heard the song Little Rabbit, but I
Oh
don't know
yeah,
that we really heard how you got this name. Is it Wabusos?
Wabuzuns, Wabuzuns.
Wabusos.
When I was little, it's the name my mother gave me, Wabuzuns. And when she gave it to me, I thought, little rabbit, little rabbit. Why little? I don't know if I want to be little. But the fact is, as I've gotten older and older, I've grown more and more and more to love the name she gave me. And
Uh-huh.
I remember when I found out that I was a Native American when I was about 5 or so, and I could understand the consciousness of it all. I got so excited. I simply started running around the house. Yeah,
And there you were in Afghanistan at the
in
time.
Afghanistan. But yeah, but the thing is, it gave me a sense of who I was, a sense of
Yeah.
identity, something I could anchor my consciousness on, even as a little boy. So
Hmm.
that feeling has always stayed with me, no matter where we were in the world, which I think is a gift from my parents that they did that.
Absolutely. Well, your mother was from the Bad River Band, was it?
Yeah, Bad River Band, and my father's Shoshone Bannock. The Bad River Band is in Odena, Wisconsin, right on the shore of Lake Superior, where
Mhm.
where the Dreamcatcher story comes from, where the turtle mythology comes from, uh, where the whole idea of Turtle Island comes from, the people where the Dreamcatcher came from, and they they have maintained a very strong culture there. They're well known for their ricing. They get monominum, which is the Ojibwe rice that they thresh into canoes. They still do it today, all along the marshes in Lake Superior, the slough, and they keep those traditions alive. And on my father's reservation in Idaho, they have one of the grandest powwows every year that I've ever been to. Tribes come from all over the country to compete. It's not the biggest one in the country, but I think for me, it's the most beautiful.
Mm.
It has the right atmosphere, and whenever I smell that smell of Fort Hall, I know it immediately. I remember being in California at a powwow, and I smelled the smell, and I followed it, and I ended up at a little craft booth, and I said, "Are you from Fort Hall?" "Yes." "How did you know?" Smell. All the
You were at a
crafts.
you
They,
were at a
they, they,
powwow here in San Francisco?
that was actually in Santa Barbara, in the hills
Oh,
of
okay.
Santa Barbara. They smudge with a very specific kind of sage on the
Wow.
leather to turn it brown, and it gives a very specific smell that doesn't smell like it's from anywhere else. And
Ah,
that's what it was.
oh,
So,
hope I get to have a chance to smell that sometime. I've been to the Thanksgiving the at Alcatraz Island, and
oh,
there's a big powwow there at sunrise every Thanksgiving. And you take a boat over in the dark and get over there, and it's just really a remarkable and wonderful celebration. Of course, harking back to when in the 70s the Indians took over the island
right,
for a couple of years.
right. Yes, it was. At that time, it was like the beginning of an awakening, and I'm not sure what's happening in this time. Right now, technology is shifting so fast. I mean, there are things that I enjoy about it, like being able to create music. Yet there are other things that sort of seem like the darker side of things, because all these devices and screens that we carry around with us all the time, it's sort of like they want to dream for us. We don't have to dream for ourselves anymore. These little boxes dream for us. So
Mhm.
that's uh, that's the darker side of it.
Yes, they can't really do that though. They need us.
Unless we're lazy.
I want to ask you something. I just used the word talking about the powwow that's happened on Alcatraz Island in Indians. Is that a real an insult in any way, or should it always be Native American?
Which is an insult.
It would to say Indian.
Well, we call each other Indian,
Okay, good.
on the reservation. Um, I don't, First People, it depends on, you're trying to honor somebody. If you're in a casual conversation with other people on the reservation, call each other Indian all the time.
Sure. Yeah, good, good. When we've worked together before, you've taught me some words, and I'd love to know
Right.
about Megwitch and also I see you
Oh,
before we
yes.
close.
Well, Megwitch, it's like a thank you, but it's not thank you. What Megwitch means really is that is enough. It comes from the time when the the Ojibwe Anishinaabe were trading with the with French trappers and traders, and they would like trade furs, and they'd trade this and they'd trade that, and they'd go, Megwitch, that is enough. And so that was interpreted as a thank you, as
Mhm.
that's how it was interpreted, but it really means that is enough.
Mhm. And it would be enough, not necessarily just what they needed. Not
Right.
necessarily an abundance, an overabundance of what they needed. But
Just what you need to survive.
right, right.
Not to cheat someone or to get more out of them or to squeeze the lemon, as they say.
Yeah, so
But
we may not have all we want, but we have enough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, the sign you're talking about was taught to me actually by an anthropologist, and she had been studying Native Americans and Native American Sign Language, and I was just beginning my interest in it, and I found this sign particularly beautiful because it felt like physical poetry to me. And you use your thumb, you go like this. I see you, and in my heart, a sunrise.
Beautiful.
And it doesn't mean half as much if you don't do it with the right feeling inside. So I see you. You really look at the person, and you feel your heart, and you feel that you're getting lighter and brighter. Right? It changes it when it's imbued with feeling and with the reality of your emotion. So
Absolutely. That's wonderful. Do you have any closing words that you'd like to say?
just one. Use your dreams. Use your power to make this world a better place.
Perfect. Leland Faulkner, I'm so grateful for you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And I look forward to seeing your show everywhere.
Thank you, Gail.
You're very welcome. And I just, let's see if make sure there's any other questions I had for you, but I think we pretty much did it, covered. So I can just say thank you again to you and to Marsh Stream producer Brianna Caver and artistic director Stephanie Weisman, and to our Zoom and YouTube audiences. Look for upcoming shows on the Marsh Stream, including Ann Can shows, which are just wonderful, at themarsh.org/Solo Arts Heal. Thank you and good night to all.